Your first deal box is probably wrong, but stay with me. This will save your search. One of the first things aspiring buyers are told to do is build a deal box. Pick an industry, pick a city, probably the one you live in, decide how much revenue and profit you want, then add recurring revenue, an established team, a limited owner involvement, and 5 years of clean financials. Ta-da! You now have almost exactly the same deal box as every other first-time buyer in this country. I see versions of it constantly. A service business doing $500,000 to $1 million in earnings, recurring customers, a management team already in place, stable growing revenue, low customer conversation, and an owner who'll stay through transition but doesn't manage the day-to-day. Those are all perfectly reasonable things to want, every single one of them. The problem is that they tell me almost nothing about the person who's supposed to own the business. Most first-time buyers build their criteria by collecting characteristics they've heard are desirable. They're listening to acquiring minds, which we love. They read Buy Then Build or the HBR guide on buying a business. They scroll listings on BizBuy. They talk to other searchers on Search Funder, and they copy what seems to be working for everybody else. And then they treat those borrowed preferences as facts. Your first deal box isn't a fact, it's a theory. You probably haven't owned the type of business that you're describing. You may not have spoken to a single owner in the industry. You may not know what recurring revenue actually looks like inside that business, or how much of it is really just relationships, or what the day-to-day genuinely asks of the owner. Many of you have never even worked in a small business before. So you're trying to make a 10-year decision that you have to put a personal guarantee on using assumptions that you've never once tested. That's not a reason to skip having criteria. It's the reason to stop treating your first draft like it came down from the heavens. Let me show you what to do instead. Before you decide what business you want, get clear on the owner you are capable of becoming. What work gives you energy? What kind of problems are you unusually good at solving? Whether you actually enjoy managing a large team or whether that would drain you. Whether you're comfortable selling and being in the sales seat. Whether you like operational complexity, whether you need geographic flexibility, how much uncertainty can you honestly tolerate, and what does your family need from this decision? Sit with those. They're harder than picking an industry, and they matter more. So a quick example from when I was a searcher, my perfect deal ended up in Dallas in property management, bigger than anything I'd been looking at, and I'd been searching in Austin in entirely different industries at a smaller deal size. Not one of that business matched what I had originally written down. What did match was all the stuff that was never on that list. The model lined up with my background. It was relationship-based, B2B, white glove, and something I could optimize and replicate, which is exactly what my whole career had been. I could see myself in that business for the next 10 years, and it clicked. So notice what actually did work there. Not the industry, not the city, not the deal size. It was the overlap between that business and what I was already good at and what I loved doing. Your criteria list has no column for that, and it's the thing that decides whether you still want this in year 3 or whether you get chosen at all. It happens to buyers every single day. They go looking for the business they were told to want instead of learning to recognize the business that actually matches them. So here's how I'd actually run this if you're sitting down to do this week. Give it 20 minutes and write 2 lists. The first one is your superpowers. What are you known for? What do your friends say you're unusually good at or come to you for advice about? For me, that's my ability to see into the future. It's a blessing and a curse, and figure a way around the curves, otherwise known as strategy and problem solving. The second is the work that gives you energy, the work that drains you. And to be honest on that one, because everyone wants to believe they'd love managing a field crew until they've done it. What are you not good at? What work environments would shut you down? What kind of work day to day would have you jumping out of bed and thriving? Then hold your deal box against those 2 lists and see how much of it actually survives. Next, you want to get extremely clear about what will not work. First-time buyers try to get really specific about what they want long before they have experience to know. Getting clear on your no is easier and it's more honest. Maybe you can't relocate. Maybe you want to be able to work outside. Maybe your family can't absorb heavy travel or working weekends. Maybe you want to interact with people and customers face to face, or maybe you love being able to work from home. Maybe working on a job site is a hard no for you. These constraints are useful because they come from your real life, not a podcast. And once you take the mismatches off the table, you've left yourself room to find things you wouldn't have known to ask for. Then you actually go and test it. Reading listings is research, it's not validation. You validate a deal box by talking to brokers, sellers, lenders, and industry experts. Or better yet, you validate by getting real experience in that type of business. Find an owner that will let you follow them around and or put you to work. I had a potential customer recently who impressed me to no end. She took my advice from our very first call about getting real world work experience because she didn't have much. And she came back with a short list of 3 companies she was talking to go do work experience with. Now that's what I'm talking about. And the questions change once you're doing this for real. Take the 3 most common lines on a deal box and turn each one back on yourself. When you say you want recurring revenue, get honest about what that actually means to you and why you want it. When you say you want the seller out of the daily operations, ask yourself why you are not capable of running daily operations and what you're going to do if the person who does quits on you, which they very possibly can. And when you say you want low customer concentration, find out what replacing a major customer would actually take and whether you're willing and able to do it. Those 3 answers tell you more about your search than another month of scrolling listings. Every real conversation should either confirm your criteria, challenge them, or make them sharper. That's how a useful deal box gets built, not once, repeatedly. One of our clients who recently went under offer in 2 months of working with us. We spent the front end pressure testing his deal box with him instead of letting him build it alone off listings and podcasts. So by the time the right business showed up, he knew it was the one on site and it was the second one we put in front of him. He moved. Our clients have sent 81 letters of intent in the last 12 months, and that's the pattern behind almost all of them. I want to talk about one more thing that can come up that you really need to think about is the types of businesses you're looking at. Really picture yourself being the owner of that business. Would you go to the conferences and have fun there? Would you feel proud saying you're the owner of that type of business? That's important to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't consider that before it's too late. I want to talk about one more trap too before I let you go. A lot of buyers want the same rare combination. I can list all of your deal boxes off right now. High profit, low price, growing revenue, minimal owner involvement, strong management, recurring customers, no concentration, no big capital expenditures, a motivated seller, and flexible financing. Wow. Where is that unicorn? That business might exist. The real question is whether it exists in your geography at your price during your search with the seller who picks you over every other buyer chasing the exact same thing. And this is the part that costs people deals. If you have the same criteria as everyone else, and then you sound and look like everyone else, think about how a seller or broker is supposed to choose you out of that pile of 200 inquiries they got in the first 24 hours. This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about knowing which characteristics are essential, which ones are preferences, which ones are theories that you still need to test, and which problems you are uniquely equipped to solve. A business does not need to be perfect, nor will it ever be, by the way. It needs to be a strong match for you. A perfect business for you is not going to be a perfect business for everyone else. At a price and a structure that makes sense, that's fair, that also protects your downside and makes sure it's worth you putting in the next 10 years into it. So if your deal box has changed since you started, that doesn't mean you failed to prepare. As long as it changed because you went and tested an assumption and you found out you were wrong about it. That's not a drift. That's the work doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The buyers who worry me are the ones whose criteria never evolve. They're the ones that are still searching a year in on the same untested assumptions with zero evidence that the approach is working. Your first deal box should give you just enough direction to take action. Then let the real deal experiences shape it. So don't wait until your criteria feel perfect before you start talking to brokers and looking at real businesses. You will not think your way to clarity. You will find it by doing the work. And your first deal box is probably wrong. That's completely fine. It's your first time buying a business, so I would expect that to happen. What matters is whether you're willing to test it and what you do with that data when you do test it. If this was useful, please subscribe because I put out something like this every week for first-time buyers. And if you want to know if you're ready to buy a business, there's a 2-minute readiness assessment linked below. No pressure either way. Go out and test your deal box.